There is a specific kind of madness that breeds in small corporate environments. When you cram 14 human beings into a beige, drop-ceilinged purgatory designed for 8, the social contract does not merely fray, it combusts. Our office was a monument to mid-tier logistical mediocrity, featuring a singular breakroom that was essentially a repurposed mop closet. It had no windows, a flickering fluorescent tube that hummed in B-flat, and an exhaust vent that had not functioned since flip phones were considered cutting-edge technology. Into this fragile ecosystem walked Beryl. Beryl was an accountant who possessed the situational awareness of a concussed pigeon. She communicated entirely in passive-aggressive sticky notes and chewed her gum with the ferocity of a woodchipper. But her true legacy began on a damp Tuesday in March, a day permanently burned into my olfactory memory. I was sitting at my desk, attempting to decipher a client's incomprehensible spreadsheet when the scent hit me. It did not arrive gradually. It breached the walls of the breakroom like an invisible, weaponized gas. First came the unmistakable odor of low tide, followed immediately by the sour, curdled stench of boiling dairy. I stood up, drawn toward the breakroom by a morbid protective instinct. I pushed open the door. There stood Beryl, bathed in the sickly yellow light of the ancient microwave. Inside the spinning glass tray sat a massive, family-sized Tupperware container. It contained a colossal slab of leftover salmon, utterly drowned in some sort of viscous, dill-flecked cream sauce. I watched, paralyzed by sheer disbelief, as she casually leaned forward and punched the keypad. 4 minutes. She was microwaving fish and cream for 4 ungodly minutes in a windowless bunker. She pressed the start button with the breezy indifference of someone who wasn't currently committing a biological war crime against 13 innocent people. The immediate aftermath was catastrophic. The smell did not merely linger. It colonized. It seeped into the drywall, bonded with the carpet fibers, and infiltrated the ventilation ducts, circulating a warm, fishy miasma throughout the entire floor. For 3 consecutive days, the office smelled like the inside of a pelican's beak. Clients came in for meetings, paused at the reception desk and visibly gagged, discreetly asking if a rodent had died in the walls. My personal casualty was a meticulously crafted roasted turkey and provolone sandwich, wrapped in wax paper and stored on the second shelf of the communal fridge. By Wednesday, it had entirely absorbed Beryl's aquatic aura. I took one bite, tasted the phantom essence of radioactive salmon, and dropped it into the trash can. It tasted like profound betrayal. My wool coat, hung on the rack roughly 40 feet from ground zero, required a heavy-duty dry cleaning just to be wearable in public again. Naturally, I took the civilized route. I drafted a polite but firm complaint to Human Resources, detailing the absolute necessity of banning highly aromatic seafood from a poorly ventilated workspace. 2 days later, HR responded with a spineless company-wide mass email. It was a masterpiece of corporate cowardice, vaguely reminding staff to be mindful of distinct culinary choices to ensure a pleasant environment for all team members. 10 minutes later, my inbox chimed. Beryl had hit reply all. Oh my gosh, so sorry if anyone was bothered by my lunch, just trying to get my omega-3s in. She ended the sentence with a smiley face emoticon, a colon and a closing parenthesis. That little pixelated curve of a smile snapped something deep inside my cerebral cortex. It was not an apology. It was a declaration of invincibility. She knew exactly what she was doing, and she knew the corporate structure was too weak to stop her. That night, I sat in the dark glow of my living room, staring at my laptop screen. I needed an outlet. I needed retribution that was untraceable, legal, and deeply, persistently annoying. A quick Google search led me down a rabbit hole of aggressively persistent organizations, until I found the holy grail of relentless harassment, the vanguard of quantum actualization. They were a highly litigious, deeply bizarre pseudo-religion that promised to recalibrate one's cellular frequencies and free the mind from biological suppression. More importantly, they were infamous for never, ever letting go of a lead. If you gave them an inch of contact information, they would pursue you across state lines, through spam filters, and to the very edge of human sanity. I cracked my knuckles. I pulled up their primary mailing list registration. First name. Beryl, last name included, email address, her direct work email. Interest level extremely high, seeking immediate enlightenment. I clicked submit. I thought it would be a fleeting moment of petty satisfaction, a single drop of poison in her digital well. But the universe has a funny way of rewarding commitment. 2 weeks later, the cracks began to show. Beryl was standing by the water cooler, aggressively stabbing the screen of her phone. She looked up as I walked by, her brow furrowed in genuine distress. "I keep getting these incredibly weird emails," she complained to no one in particular. "Some group talking about my auric field being corrupted. I get 3 a day. I don't even know how they got my information." I paused, adopting a look of mild, empathetic concern. "That's so strange. You know, data brokers sell everything these days. You probably clicked on a bad link." She sighed, deleting the messages. "It's just so annoying." A warm, golden feeling bloomed in my chest. I nodded sympathetically, walked back to my desk, and made a mental note. That evening, I bypassed the main Vanguard website and dug deeper. I found a regional branch in a neighboring state. I signed her up for their daily newsletter, a weekly digital magazine about quantum ascendance, and a special promotional seminar on identifying toxic frequencies in the workplace. That was nearly 4 years ago. What began as a retaliatory strike over ruined Tupperware evolved into a sacred, unyielding ritual. Every Sunday night, while the rest of the world prepares for the workweek, I sit down with a cup of chamomile tea and I hunt. I scour the internet for obscure subfactions of the Vanguard. I find sister organizations, affiliated self-help gurus, and aggressive multi-level marketing schemes that sell dietary supplements for spiritual awakening. I have a hidden folder on my phone containing 42 different, highly specific sign-up pages. I rotate them to ensure a steady, unpredictable flow of nonsense. Eventually, I escalated. I added her direct office extension to the forms. The digital annoyance bled into the physical realm. The Vanguard began mailing glossy, heavy-stock pamphlets directly to the office. Our receptionist would walk over, utterly bewildered, and drop thick envelopes stamped with gold foil pyramids onto Beryl's desk. Beryl would stare at them, her jaw tight, before violently shoving them into her recycling bin. She filed multiple tickets with our exhausted IT guy, a deeply cynical man named Dante. I would sit at my desk, quietly drafting spreadsheets, while listening to Dante try to explain that he could not put a firewall block on physical postal mail. "I can filter the emails," Dante said one afternoon, rubbing his temples. "But they keep using different domains. Vanguard Truth, Vanguard Awakening, Quantum Beryl. I don't know who you made mad in a past life, but these people are determined." "It's a virus," Beryl insisted, her voice shrill. "It has to be a virus." "Viruses don't mail you leather-bound books about astral projection, Beryl," Dante muttered, walking away. The crowning achievement of my architectural masterpiece occurred roughly 18 months into the campaign. I had discovered a hidden page on a Vanguard affiliate site offering a complimentary auditory stress evaluation. The form required a physical address and a phone number. I provided both, noting in the comment section that Beryl was incredibly eager but deeply shy and required a persistent approach. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was eating a remarkably safe, odor-free ham sandwich at my desk when Beryl's phone rang. She answered with her usual clipped, irritated tone. "Accounting, this is Beryl." A pause, I stopped chewing. "No, I am not interested in measuring my cellular dissonance," Beryl said, her voice rising an octave. "I don't know who you are." "Stop calling me." She tried to hang up, but whoever was on the other end possessed the conversational grip of a pit bull. Beryl was trapped. For 20 agonizing minutes she sat there, desperately trying to politely untangle herself from a man who was clearly reading from a heavily scripted indoctrination manual. "No, I don't feel biologically suppressed," she hissed into the receiver. "I just want to do payroll, please take me off your list." I had to bite the inside of my cheek until I tasted copper just to keep from laughing out loud. But the Vanguard did not stop at phone calls. The stress evaluation form had worked too well. 3 weeks later, the bell above the office reception door chimed. I looked up to see a man standing in the lobby. He wore a perfectly tailored, unnervingly crisp gray suit. His posture was rigid, his smile entirely devoid of warmth, and he carried a silver aluminum briefcase. He approached the receptionist. "Good afternoon," the man said, his voice projecting a terrifying, artificial calm. "I am Brother Elias from the Vanguard. I have a 3 o'clock appointment with Beryl to conduct her complimentary stress evaluation and auric cleansing." The office went dead silent. You could hear the hum of the broken fluorescent light in the breakroom. Beryl slowly stood up from her cubicle, her face entirely drained of color. She looked like she had just witnessed a ghost. I didn't schedule anything," she stammered, backing away from her desk. "Ah, Beryl," Brother Elias said, locking onto her with unblinking, predatory eyes. Your file indicated you might exhibit resistance. The biological suppression is strong in this environment. Shall we find a quiet room to set up the harmonic calibrator? He patted the silver briefcase. Beryl practically sprinted into the HR manager's office, slamming the door behind her. Brother Elias stood in the lobby for 45 minutes, refusing to leave, calmly reading a pamphlet until building security finally escorted him out. I spent that entire 45 minutes locked inside a bathroom stall, my forehead pressed against the cool tile wall, silently weeping tears of absolute, unfiltered joy. Beryl still works here. She never microwaved fish again. In fact, she rarely uses the microwave at all, preferring to eat cold salads in the safety of her cubicle, perpetually glancing at the lobby doors. But it isn't about the salmon anymore. The fish was simply the catalyst. This is about the purity of commitment. It is about a vow I made to myself in the toxic haze of that break room. I will never stop. Years from now, when we have both retired, when this miserable little office is bulldozed and turned into a parking lot, the vanguard will still be searching for her. When I am dead and gone, my ghost will float through the digital ether, diligently filling out contact forms for quantum enlightenment. We are bound together in this invisible war forever. If you appreciate the dark, meticulous art of the long game, hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment below with the most unhinged thing a coworker has ever done in your break room, and perhaps together we can figure out the perfect, untraceable retribution. Until next time, stay petty, stay patient, and never ever microwave seafood in a confined space.